welcome. I can see here that we've got 4 participants today. We've got Enid, Judy, Lynette and Patricia, so thanks for joining us. I just have to do some admin sort of work, take a screenshot of that. And welcome to the session today. My name's Nick Barron. I'm from IT for Retirees, so I'd like to welcome you as residents of the Stockland Retirement Living. IT for Retirees have been asked by Natalie Burns, who I understand is the National Services Care Manager for Stockland Retirement Living, to encourage and help every resident to increase their digital literacy and also embrace all that technology has to offer. So, one of the main purposes of this session is really to show you what the benefits are, or tell you what video chat is and how it can help you. Just to let you know, the presentation is actually being recorded, and a copy of the slides, the presentation slides I'm going to use, and a link to the recording will be emailed to you. And if you have any queries, any issues with that, please contact Natalie, as she will also be sent this information. So what I'm going to do for you now, I'm going to have to play around with the screen a bit, is I'm going to share the presentation with you. You should be able to see that in the screen. So yeah, hopefully you're at the right session. We're going to be talking about video chat options. And if I just go through what the agenda is for today, we're going to talk about what is video chat and what are its benefits for you. We're going to provide an overview of the main players, so those being FaceTime, Skype, Messenger and WhatsApp. And when I talk about these main players, I'll be using the term apps, which is really just a short name for what's called an application, which is essentially a computer program to tell like your computer to do something. So essentially, if you've got a smartphone, it's like a mini computer in your hand, and you'll see a lot of pictures on the screen, those icons. Each and every one of those is an app or an application which will do something. So it can do anything from send messages, monitor your fitness, make video calls like we're going to be talking about today, but the list just goes on. There are so many things that can be done on a smartphone or a tablet. Depending on time, I'll also show you what these applications look like on my iPad and also on my phone, but I'll also demonstrate with you about halfway through the session, timing going to plan, what a video chat looks like. I'll be contacting my wife, who happens to be spending a few days down in Victor Harbor, which is in South Australia. I'm sorry, I didn't mention I'm talking to you from Adelaide, and my wife's down in Victor Harbor for a few days with her mother and her auntie, and that's down on the Fleurieu Peninsula, which is about an hour and a half south of Adelaide. Unfortunately, I won't be able to answer any questions during the presentation. For those of you that were in that sort of pre-session area, I mentioned that the way these webinars have been designed is that all participants have been muted, and so you'll be lucky to listen. You have the pleasure of listening to me for the next 45 minutes to an hour. However, you can post your questions either in that Q&A section or the chat section in Zoom, and time permitting towards the end, I will answer them. So I've sort of jumped a little bit there. I've sort of gone through the main players. I've talked about a demo of video chat I'll be doing that in Messenger. And then towards the end, I'll be talking about what's best for you. So I'm not really going to be telling you what's best for you. I'm going to be posing some simple questions for you to consider in terms of what you think will work best for you. And I think, and for me, I think that should become fairly apparent when you just answer some of those simple questions. And then we'll go through, I'll play a little video towards the end about the Be Connected program, which is a federal government initiative to get as many people in Australia online as possible. So that video will run through sort of the benefits and also talk through the resources that are available on that site, which is available all the time, 24/7, as it says there. Okay, let's get started. So what is video chat and why? Why is it something you should consider? What are the benefits? So what is it? As it says there, it's a conversation over a smart device where you can see each other. Now you might think, well, what's the smart device? A smart device is anything that connects to the internet. So for example, that can be your smartphone, that can be your tablet, be it an iPad or a Samsung, something like that, or a computer. Even TVs now are smart as well. But the main thing here we're talking about is that, you know, you can have a chat rather than just doing this thing where you're just talking to someone. All we can do is hear them. You can actually hear and see them at the same time. And you'll also hear the term video chat, video calling and video conferencing. They're all the same thing. They're essentially just a conversation over a smart device, be it like your phone, where you can see each other. Like I can see myself, unfortunately I can't see you. So in terms of what are the benefits, why should this interest you? They're free. They're all free. You don't have to pay for each and every video chat that you make because it's all part of your data plan. But you just have to be mindful that it does use some data. So I'm going to provide some examples throughout the presentation about the average data used by each of the applications. So when I'm talking about Facetime, Messenger, WhatsApp and Skype, I'll give you a sense of what the average usage is of data there. But just in terms of a tip, it's really good practice when you're using these video chat applications. It's best to use it when you're connected to Wi-Fi. Most of us who have a Wi-Fi plan at home, often they come with quite a lot more data than it does if you're just to use, you know, your smartphone to make a call when you're out and about. Generally, those of us trying to save a few dollars are not too interested in having too much data on our phone plan, which often comes with a little bit more money. So it's a really good idea to use it when you're connected to your Wi-Fi. Now, in terms of another real main benefit, it's about staying connected. You know, you're able to see friends and family that you can't see in person. And this really topical now, especially with COVID-19. And, you know, those residents who are in Victoria, or those people in Victoria just can't get out and about like they used to. So video chat is a great way to stay connected with friends and loved ones. And also, regardless of that, there's also the fact that sometimes our friends and family are quite far away, you know, that they could be interstate, and you just don't have that opportunity to just have that face-to-face conversation with someone, and video chatting provides that opportunity to do that. I've recently read an article on the internet by a mob called The Conversation, or the Australian version of The Conversation. And its sort of byline is it comes with academic rigor but journalistic flair. So a lot of its basis of its information is on current research. And it found that, you know, as COVID-19 is quite topical, that now that it's with us, older adults, and I'm in that sort of demographic too, are one of the most vulnerable groups. So staying social during this time, and whilst also maintaining physical distance for our safety, is really crucial. But even before COVID-19, it recognises that, you know, us and the older demographic have been dealing with, you know, these issues like relating to social isolation and loneliness. But it found that it referenced an article from the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry in March of last year, March 2019, which found that older adults who used video chat technology had significantly lower risks of depression, than those who did not video chat. So the great thing about video chat is it keeps you engaged and part of your loved ones' lives. You can still visit your grandchildren, you can still have morning tea with friends, and it allows you, I'm just going to quote something here, it allows you to be virtually present for those memorable moments, you know, for example, like birthdays. So, and it also allows you to remain, one of the big things, emotionally present. You might be physically distant, but you're emotionally present because you can see people and you can interact with people. I say there also in my slide that it feels more real. And it's just, what do I mean by that? I mean, what I mean by that, it's just so much nicer to see someone when you're having a video chat with someone. Some of us aren't great at explaining in words how we feel, not only explaining in words when we're texting, if we're writing stuff, or just in terms of talking like this. And having that opportunity to see the body language, facial expressions, gestures. I'm not one who talks a lot with my hands, but my mother-in-law is, and she knocks things over as well. It just helps with, I suppose, clarity and getting, how you really feel across. And certainly from some of the research I've done, most experts agree that 70 to 93% of all communications via body language. So if I was to give you an example, like I was just thinking about if I was arranging a dinner party with my friend, and he's saying, okay, let's invite, Rick and Joe, let's invite Mikey and Ange. And I'm going, yep. And he says, oh, let's invite Fred. And as soon as he says Fred, I go, oh yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I'd love to see Fred rock up. So I suppose I'm providing a bit of a silly example there, but where my body language is clearly contradicting what I'm saying, but I think you'll get the gist of what I mean. And the last part is you can have lots of fun. I know during lockdown here in Adelaide, my wife and I used to have regular contact or catch-ups on a weekly basis with different groups of friends. And, after a while where we'd sit down with some wine, beer, maybe just have chats with people. But then after a while, we thought, let's make this a bit more fun. Let's play some games. And we played games like quiz night. So where each person that was, part of that chat had a topic to research and ask some questions. And what we found was that everyone that did it asked the hardest questions, because everything seems so easy when you're researching it, but then when you ask your question, I think we had to dumb it down quite a bit, but we had a lot of fun with that. And we also played bingo. You can download these applications, from either the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, where you can it generates the numbers, like a random number generator where someone can call out the number. And then there was another associated application where it displayed cards, the bingo cards on your phone, and you can just then mark them off as we went along. And actually, that was probably the most fun we had. And I'm sure you can think of other ways you can have fun along the way. It's just really, up to you and your imagination as to what games you might think one can play in this sort of virtual world. And that just leads on to the last point. You can just have lots of fun. I'm sorry, what I meant to say, just having a laugh, sorry. You don't even have to go to the extent of having a game, but just having that opportunity to have a laugh with someone is so important, with a friend, with a loved one, because as we know, laughter can help boost the immune system. It can help reduce pain, reduce stress, and just increase that feeling of well-being. So I think that's good medicine for all of us. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to talk about the first of the main player apps. Now, how am I going for time here? I think I'm doing quite well. Almost 15 minutes in. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Facetime, which is Apple's video calling app. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm just going to escape for a moment from this. I'm going to stop sharing. I just want to double check if there's any questions that have been asked in the chat section. No. Or in the Q&A. No open questions. Good. Just to make, no one's mentioned that they can't see what I'm doing. That's good, because we had some technical issues in the past where people couldn't see things. So I just thought I'd double check that. And let's go back to our slides. And I'm just going to go back to the slideshow. Okay, now you get to see my mug again there. And so that's me sort of starting the process to make a FaceTime call in the application. And as you can see, it communicates quite a bit of picture, doesn't it? I'm thinking, golly, can you count the number of chins I have there? And I don't think I don't think I can count that high. But anyway, so let's talk about FaceTime. FaceTime is Apple's own video calling app, so it's something that's exclusive to them. It's only found on their products. It was released back in 2010, so it's been around for 10 years, quite a number of years. So they've had quite a bit of time to iron out the bugs along the way, and so it's just so much more an uninterrupted experience compared to some of the issues that occurred with these types of applications in the past, in terms of dropouts and things like that. Here's a big one: it's free. I mentioned it before, and I'm going to say it a multitude of times today. You'll probably get sick of hearing me say it. It's free, so you don't pay for each and every call like we used to with telephone calls and the old Telstra days, and I think it was around 22 cents a call, something like that. But it does use some data. So just to give you an idea, FaceTime uses about 180 megabytes per hour. So if you were to talk for an hour, that's about 180 megabytes. Now, to convert that to a gigabyte, because just so I hope it makes a little bit more sense to you, especially when you have a Wi-Fi plan or one on your phone, a data plan where it's all in gigabytes per month. If you were to talk for 5.5 hours on FaceTime, you would use about 1 gigabyte of data. Okay, so to use 1 gigabyte of data on FaceTime means you have to talk for about 5.5 hours. So that's quite a bit of talking before it becomes an issue. Now, it's only available because it's FaceTime. Sorry, FaceTime is Apple's proprietary application. It only works on Apple products like iPhones, iPads, or Macs. So this means it's what we call, it's not device agnostic. It's a term you're going to hear a few times today, which means it can't be downloaded or run on other smartphones, like a Samsung smartphone, say, for example, which runs on what's called an Android platform. It can only run on Apple products. So that means that you have to think about, if you want to use this, the people that you're going to contact have to have an Apple device, for example, have to have an Apple iPhone. If they don't, it means that you can't contact them via FaceTime. But the big thing here is, don't panic. There are other applications that you can download. Let's say if your best friend has a Samsung phone, you could download another application, ones we're going to talk about later, which would allow you to still talk to them in this way where we can see each other in video chat land. Okay, you can also invite up to 32 people in one call. Now, for most of us, that's not an issue. That's really probably more of an issue when you want to, for conducting business, for conducting, big conference calls, big meetings, you can invite up to 32 people. But for most of us, it's really just a case of, maybe setting up a group call with maybe 1 to 3 people. I mean, that's just a number I picked out of that I thought would be easy to manage. I know when we caught up with a group of friends, it was up to about 6. Beyond that, I think it starts to get quite complicated. But, you can have everybody in at the same time having a chat. And it's just, a good, fun way of, I suppose, of doing things. You just have to note, though, that if you are having video chats with more than 1 people, it will consume a little bit more data. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just show you what it looks like on my iPad. And unfortunately, it's at an angle where I haven't mentioned it behind me. That's actually a picture of the Adelaide Hills up around Lenswood, and it's from a place called the Pike and Joyce Winery. It was a beautiful day that day. It brings back good memories. But when I open up my iPad, and I'm going to show you just some, a little bit about navigating around it, how to search for a contact and find that button, which if you see in my picture, here's the button one would press to have a video call with someone who has another Apple device. I'm going to show you what that looks like. But you're going to see my picture. I've got a green screen behind me because I'm not actually in the Adelaide Hills. But okay, I just have to do a few little things on my computer, so bear with me as you see the side of my face for a little while. I'm just going to have to set up. Oh, let's have a bit of a look. This could take. Oh, good on you. Here we go. It's starting to work. I'm just going to mirror my iPad screen to my presentation so that you can see it as well. So what I'm going to have to do is just stop sharing. There's me. Stop sharing the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to share my screen of my iPad. Bear with me, just play with it a bit. Right, okay. So now you should be able to see, that's my iPad. And the picture there, I don't know why I've got the American flag there. That's when we went to Hawaii and went to, it was Pearl Harbor. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is, if you look down the bottom, there's FaceTime. That's the FaceTime app. That's the picture you would have seen in our slides. I'm just going to press on that to show you what it looks like. And there you go. You get to see me in my room, and you see the air conditioning vent, and probably not the most flattering angle. Not that I have a flattering angle. And on the side here, this is really just a history of calls that have been made. But I'm going to show you, if I was to make a call to James, who's my son, what it would look like. Now, there was two ways I could do that. See this little I here? I could press that. Or actually, I could press on his name and it would go straight into it. But if I press the I, to give you an example, you'll see that there's a picture of him. That's a few years ago, actually. I've got a number of options here. I can message him, I can call him, just the normal that call, audio call. And because I know he does have an Apple phone, this lights up and it shows FaceTime. So I could actually press that if I wanted to and have a video call with him, but I won't do that. I'll show you that later in Messenger in another application. Another way was, let's say his name wasn't on this history list, which provides me sort of a quicker access to contact him. I could just click on this little plus button up here, type in his name, James, and I've got this list that's come up, and I know he's neither of these other three. It's him at the top there, James. I just press on that. And a slightly different screen comes up, but interestingly here, I could either press this button and just have, like I said before, have one of those calls. Please don't do a video call like this, because I don't think whoever you're talking to really wants to see your ear. And here, if I pressed on that button, which says video, it means I can FaceTime him. And when that lights up, it means he does have an Apple product. So, I suppose a tip here is, if you've already got, if your friends have Apple devices, this is probably the easiest one to use. I'll just show you an example though of if I was to contact my wife's mum. I'm just going to search for her. She's under Mum Marion, I think. There she is. She's the third one down here. How am I going for time? Good. See how I can make an audio call to her, but I cannot make a video call because she does not. I know she doesn't have an Apple device. She has a Nokia phone, which is on the Android platform, which is just an operating system. But don't worry about that. But regardless, I cannot FaceTime her. So I have to use another application to do that. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. What I'm going to do now is just stop sharing that and go back to the PowerPoint presentation. And just bear with me a sec. I just have to sort of shut down my iPad to get it to stop casting to the screen. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. Next, I'm going to talk. The next application I'm going to talk about is Skype. Now, Skype's been around for quite a few years. It was released back in 2003, and this is one that really, from my memory, really started the sort of the video calling, whether the term's revolution, but it's the one that comes to mind most readily as one of the early adopters. So it specializes in voice and video calling. And it also has this instant messaging option. So you can send these, these text sort of messages to either individuals or groups. Now, I'll show you an example of that a little bit later. And just by way of I suppose a little story, I do recall, oh golly, back in the early 2000s, would have been after August 2003 though, I had a work colleague whose daughter won a scholarship to play golf at an American university in the States. And I think that was for about a year. And I said, oh, geez, and I was playing quite a bit of golf there. And I thought, so I used to have quite a few conversations with Rex. That's his name, Rex. I couldn't remember it. And I said, oh, that's great. But how do you go I imagine you really must miss your daughter. She's so far away. And, how do you keep in contact? And he said, oh, that's great. Now on my laptop, I've got this thing called Skype, and I can call her via the internet and we can see each other. And it's just fantastic. It's just so much, it just adds so much more than just doing this. This is good. I'm not saying it's not I'm not saying it's bad, it's good, but video just adds that extra element, that extra layer of just connection. And yeah, look, it's been around for quite a while, like I said, it's 17 years now. And if I also use that example of just how reliable it is now, if for those of us who remember the Don Lane show, back in the 70s, you remember, or you may or may not remember, but I do, he used to have these satellite hookups with celebrities overseas. And it used to be such a big thing, to have these satellite hookups. And invariably, whenever he was interviewing a celebrity and you were like really excited, it would cut out, it would drop out, and there'd always be technical problems. Well, today with the, that's, unless you've got a really bad internet connection, which can happen, but for most of us, it's a very, very reliable service that is very cheap. I've mentioned there it's owned by Microsoft, so a lot of these apps are owned by the big players. Again, in terms of benefits, it's free. I've said it now several times, and I'll say it several times again. But it does use some data. So compared to FaceTime, it uses a little bit more. FaceTime used 180 megabytes per hour. Skype uses around, so these are approximate figures, 225 megabytes per hour. So to convert that to, how many hours can I talk to before I use a gigabyte? So you can sort of relate it back to whatever your data plan is. If you talk for 4.5 hours on Skype, you're going to use about a gigabyte of data. Whereas in FaceTime, you can talk for 5.5 hours before you use a gigabyte. Here's this term that, it was fairly new to me, and I'm sure it's new to you, is that it's device agnostic. And all that means is that, as opposed to like the FaceTime app, which can only be used with Apple devices, Skype can be used on any smart device, like a phone, like a tablet, like if you have a Mac, Apple Mac at home, or if you have a Windows PC, you can download it to any of those devices and it works on all those devices. But you do have to have this front-facing camera. Whenever I'm talking about video chat technology, you do need something with a camera at the front so you can see each other, or else, what's the point? You can invite up to 50 people in one call. That's big. And like FaceTime, things start to get complicated with that number of people. So I'm sure if you, it's really up to you. I think I mentioned 1 to 3 people as something that's a bit more manageable in terms of having a video chat with, that amount of people rather than having 50 people in one call. But if you want to, the facility's there. But just remember, it does consume a little bit more data when you engage in those group calls. And just in terms of summary with Skype, it does tend to be probably not one of the more popular video chat apps that are around. Yeah, there's not as many people using it today, and certainly the other apps that I'm talking about today have really taken over. Okay, so that's Skype. Now I'm going to, oh, what's going on here? I'm going to talk about Messenger. Now, Messenger, very popular. This is something that's owned by Facebook. It's also known as Facebook Messenger. It's an instant messaging app, which also supports voice and video calling. So what do I mean by instant messaging? I suppose there's an example of it on your right-hand side here. This is sort of an email. This is a sort of a conversation trail between my wife Raylene and myself. She's in the grey and I'm in the blue. It's a little bit confused. She's saying the boys are here having breakfast too. They walked up from somewhere, I can't remember where, and I must have been on my way. I said, that's okay, I'll be there later, not feeling hungry, which is really unusual for me because I tend to feel hungry all the time. And then she hates snakes, and she shared this story here about a snake, a red belly was spotted in a Mount Barker doorway today. This was back in this last year, in the 24th of October 2019. But I'll show you some more examples of what it's like to have a sort of a group, I suppose, make this, enlarge this to a group as well, and having chats within a group of people. But our main focus, so you can send text messages, you can send photos, you can make these audio calls, you can make video calls, and also set up group chats as well. But if you see here, I've highlighted, this is sort of the button you press when you want to make a video call, and that's the one when you want to make an audio call. Again, it's free. It does use some data. Again, Messenger uses a little bit more than Skype. So this uses Skype and FaceTime. So this uses about 260 megabytes per hour. So to use 1 gigabyte of your data, you're going to have to be talking for about 4 hours. So as opposed to Skype, which is about 4.5 hours to use a gigabyte, and FaceTime about 5.5 hours to use a gigabyte. Again, this one is device agnostic. So you can download it to any of your smart devices, be it a phone, Apple, Samsung, which is just another word I'm using for Android, a tablet, be it an iPad, be it a Samsung tablet, a Mac PC if you've got one, or a laptop, or a Windows PC or laptop. So you can download it to so many different smart devices. There are actually 1.3 billion, not million or million, not 1.3 billion users in the world. That is just a huge amount of people, which just illustrates how popular this is. And an interesting stat, excuse me, I'm just going to read out to you, is that more than 20 billion messages are exchanged between business and users monthly on Messenger. I was going to use a word I probably shouldn't use, but that's a lot of people, or sorry, a lot of messages being shared by a lot of people across the world. You can invite up to 8 people in one call. So this is a little less than what, or quite a bit less really, than FaceTime and Skype. But I think for most of us that's more than enough people that we want to invite into a call. But again, just a reminder that, the more people you have in a video call, you use a little bit more data. Okay, so now I promised you we do have enough time. We're only about 35 minutes into the presentation to show you a little bit around Messenger, and also to make a video call. I'm going to make a video call later to my wife. So I just have to do some technical stuff here. So please bear with me while I sort of play under the hood a little bit here. Just have to connect. So this is going to be on my Samsung phone. So I've got an Apple iPad and I also have a Samsung smartphone. And I've just got to mirror my phone to the screen, and I just have to bear with me again. I just have to stop sharing. So you have to see my face and in the in the big picture, and then I have to reshare my phone screen so I don't have to ski so much anymore. Okay, so now you should see my Samsung phone, and what I will do, I just want to double check that you are seeing it, and please put in the chat window if you can't, because I'm just going to have a look down. I'm going to just have to stop sharing again, and I'm going to look in the chat window, and I'm not hearing from any of you that you can't see it, so I'm assuming that all is good. So that's great. So we'll start again and share my cool. Okay, so that's my home screen on my Samsung phone. If you're interested, the picture behind I think was taken in Seville in Spain at the Royal Alcazar, which is a royal palace. Okay, but here I'm going to open up the app Messenger. That's that icon there. I'm just going to press on that, which will take us to Messenger. And here you can see, just by way of, I suppose, description, these are some chats that I've been having with individuals and groups. Evan's Fam Bam is a group on my wife's side of the family, which has my kids and her sister and nieces, and even my mother-in-law is in there as well, where we just share. Actually, I might just, by way of example, share. My mother-in-law had her 80th birthday party just on the weekend. It was originally going to be a big party with people invited from interstate, but because of COVID, they couldn't be here. So that had to get cancelled, the big party, and we just had a dinner with people in Adelaide on the weekend. And so my sister-in-law shared a number of photos from that. So yeah, so you can see things you can see me there, sort of in the pink shirt, and some of the family, and there's me again. Some people say I look a bit like Koshi. I think I get it. Yeah, and so on. So it's a great way, like in terms of setting up groups where you can share memories like this, which I think is really fantastic. And just by way of another example, here, if you look at this one here, I'm trying to sell one of my guitars. So this is the beauties of doing things online. You can just do it so quickly and easily. I haven't sold it yet, but if you're interested in a 12-string guitar, let me know. I'm going to show you also a group as I scroll down. It's coming, Baron, I'm going to put it to the top. Baron Bowden Bennett family, and that's just a smaller group with just my wife, myself, I've got 2 kids, and their partners are in this. So 6 people are in this group where we just share really, things that are of interest to each other, and just catch up. And interestingly, my son went away to a place called Marion Bay, which is on the York Peninsula here in South Australia, for a bit of a fishing trip earlier this month. If you look here, 7th of October, I think. And my wife, Raylene, at the top here is saying, how did the boat charter go? Did you catch any fish? And actually, prior to that, she was in contact with him because the weather was horrendous. And she was sort of worried about him going out in the water. He's 24 years old, but she was still worried. Anyway, he gets back. He doesn't say much. Yeah, it was all right. Caught a lot between us, but so cold though. And my wife asks here, did you get seasick? I suppose fish for dinner. And there was a little emoji there of someone looking pretty green. And then this is the best part. He shared this photo here of the catch. And I think I can make it bigger. Yeah, there you go. I hope you can see that. That's not him, but what was I going to say? That's one of his friends. And just excuse me for a moment. That's one of his friends who, I don't think he bagged all those fish, but they were pretty happy with their catch that day. So I hope that gives you a bit of sort of a taste of what it's like, you know, what sort of fun you can have just from the instant messaging side of things. But what I'm going to do now is, oh yeah, and just some tips about if you ever do create some of these groups, is that just be mindful that who is in the group, and when you do post, you know, like the messages that you see here, that everybody in that group can see it. So please, please be kind when you're sharing messages, you know, and be mindful of who is in that group. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show how I can make a video call. I'm going to make a video call to my wife. So I'm just going to go back a step. I'm going to search. If you see at the top here, I can just search for her name. I'm going to put in Raylene. All right, I'm going to put in Raylene, and there she is at the top. I'm going to press her, so that's her nickname, Room. I'm going to press that button there. And this is a history has come up of messages that have been shared with Raylene. But up here, these icons, just to explain to you, if I just wanted to make an audio call to her, one of those, I press that button. I want to make a video call to her, so I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to press that button, and hopefully it'll work. She's not answering what's going on here. I might just give her a buzz, time permitting. Bear with me a sec. I'm just going to... here she goes. She's there. Hello. You're out on a walk.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Bear with me, guys. Yeah, she pressed the wrong button. Hang on, I'm just going to share my screen. Hello, Raylene. How are you?
Good. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm hoping that everybody can hear us, but at least as a minimum, you should be able to see Raylene. She's out on a walk. Where in Victor Hart? Where are you now?
Just in Encounter Bay.
You're at Encounter Bay. A little bit windy. I can see your hair's...
Yeah, it's a bit windy. I'll
Yeah.
just show you the view.
Yeah, let's show us the... No, you're going to have to switch your camera, Room. Yeah, there you go.
That's the plus.
Yeah, so...
When I was walking, I pushed the wrong button.
That's okay. So guys, what Raylene's done is actually you can switch the camera to the rear of her phone. So she's showing you, yeah, this is down at Victor Harbour, giving us a 360. If just pause there for a sec, Room. That's actually Granite Island. So if you want to search that on Google later, you can look up Granite Island. If you go back around to the bluff, that'll be great, Raylene. And that's Shark Island. There's the bluff. That's a famous landmark at Victor Harbour as well. And it looks a little bit cloudy down there.
It's cloudy and windy.
What's the weather like?
It's warm but windy.
Warm but windy. Okay. Well, that's great.
And cloudy.
And cloudy. Well, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for doing that.
Okay.
And I'll see you later. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
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 So I hope, I'll rate that call as pretty good. There we go, submit that. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that, just to give you an example of, you know, I suppose the benefits of video chat and what you can get out of it, you know, rather than just talking to someone that they can actually show you where they are, and it can be anywhere in the world. That's the beauty. You know, Raylene's a few hundred kilometers away from me now, but she could have been overseas and we could have done the same thing. So how cool is that? Okay, I'm just going to stop sharing that screen. I'm just mindful of time. Ooh, we're starting to run out a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to go back to our presentation, and I just have to click. There's a lot of clicking going on here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the next slide where we talk about, the next app, which is called, funnily enough, WhatsApp, which is a bit of a play on WhatsApp, apparently. It's an instant messaging app, a bit like, very similar to Messenger, but it also supports voice and video calling. So like Messenger, you can do a lot with it. You can send text messages, you can send photos, you can make audio calls, you can make video calls like we're talking about today, and you can set up those group chats like I showed you before as well, you know, with my family, where you saw that fishing photo that was shared between 6 of us. But again, I'm going to be focusing on the video chat capabilities. It was founded back in 2009, so it's been around for a number of years again, and I've got that it was joined by Facebook in 2014. I think that's just another way of saying it was taken over by Facebook, and I reckon whoever founded it would have got quite a few pretty pennies for their efforts. Again, it's free, you know, you're not paying for each and every call, but you do use some data. So this one uses actually the most out of all the applications. It uses 300 megabytes per hour. So if you were to talk for 3.5 hours, you would use 1 gigabyte approximately. Okay, these are approximate figures. You would use approximately 1 gigabyte of data. So if I compare that to FaceTime, you can talk for 5.5 hours on FaceTime before you use 1 gigabyte. On WhatsApp, you would talk for around 3.5 hours before you use 1 gigabyte. It's device agnostic, so a new term that's probably been introduced for you today, where it can be downloaded to any smartphone or Mac and Windows PC. Unfortunately, when I say it's device agnostic, in this case, it can be downloaded to most devices. And at this stage, there's no official app for the iPad. You can download it to your PC, to your laptop. At this stage, though, you can't video chat. You can't do this thing via video. So, but you can do it via your smartphone, by your Apple iPhone or your Samsung phone, or by your tablet, so like an iPad or a Samsung. You can have up to 8 people in one call, and that was actually just recently upped from 4 people back in April of this year due to the coronavirus. So they upped it from 4 to 8, but just be mindful again that it just uses a little bit more data. There, even more users than Messenger. There are over 2 billion users. So I think just an interesting stat for you is that in the month of April this year, again, I just have to read this, WhatsApp, oh, I'm going to say WhatsApp doc, but anyway, I won't, but I just did. WhatsApp found that over the month of April 2020, people on average spent over 15 billion minutes talking each day on WhatsApp calls, which was well above the typical day before the pandemic. So, you know, this just goes, I think, just to reinforce the importance that people place on staying connected with each other. You know, just so important for our well-being. Okay, so WhatsApp is here. You can, the little green app. I just go into it. This here is just another little chat group got set up with it's just my daughter with my wife and I. If I just tap on that, here's a picture of one of the presents her grandmother got for her 80th, which is sort of looks like my daughter's dog. And so Tess was sharing that picture. Oh no, Raylene, my wife, shared that picture with my daughter, saying, you know, Nana's Lottie is the name of my daughter's dog, is even better with her bandana. And Tessa saying, oh goodness, have fun. And then Tess had a car accident this last week. She's fine, but she's just telling my wife that, you know, her car is booked in for the 17th of November. Now, if we wanted to have an audio call between Raylene, Tess, my daughter, and myself, I could just press that button, have one of those. We could also have a video call if we wanted to, but by just pressing that button. How easy is that? Okay, so thanks. I hope, you know, you found that interesting, and I'm just going to stop that for a moment. I'm just going to stop sharing. Yeah, back to me again. Hopefully I haven't scared you too much. Okay, so that's WhatsApp. So now we're heading towards the end of the straight. So let's have to check the time again. 10:20. Yep. Okay, so what's best for you? We've got these apps that I've run through: FaceTime, Skype, Messenger, and WhatsApp. Some questions are, what device do you normally use? If it's a smartphone, is it an iPhone or is it an Android like a Samsung? If it's a computer, is it a tablet like an iPad or a Samsung tablet, or is it a Windows PC or a Mac? Either a Windows laptop or it could be an Apple laptop. I think a really good tip to get you used to using this is if, select one that will be near you when someone calls and that's not out of earshot. And I think, phones are often the best ones, or tablets that are often nearby and easy to just, pick up and bang, you're talking. Just like my wife was on a walk, even though she pressed the wrong button. So don't worry, we all make that mistake. But, just you can be out and about and you can have the benefit of talking to someone even overseas. Another question for you to ask is, what apps do others use, like your friends and your family? So those that you keep in touch with, and those that can help you as well use that app. Now, for example, if you have an iPhone and your friends have an iPhone, well, bang, it's just so much easier to use FaceTime because it's all pre-installed. You just have to go through that process I told you about before, just to make a video call. Just search the person and press that little video icon and you're making a video chat. And you can also check, like I showed you, if someone does have, in your contacts, if you go through and you see that FaceTime doesn't light up, or that little green video button doesn't light up, well, then they don't have an Apple device, so you can't make a FaceTime call, but you can make a call using one of the other apps. Yeah, and that's really about it in terms of that part. But at the end, just have a play, really select the app that you're most comfortable with using and the one that doesn't freak you out the most, but they're all really pretty simple to use. And I can I'd love to guarantee you that if you would call a loved one and just see their face, you will understand what the benefits of video chat are straight away. It will just become crystal clear to you, where you can, have that connection and you can just have that fun and you can just see the smile, you can have a laugh and enjoy the benefits of just, seeing the body language of people and just seeing people. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation today. What I do have to do now is just, whoops, I'm going the wrong way, is just share with you a short video. It's about almost 4 minutes. It's about the Be Connected initiative, which is one of the Australian government's initiatives to get all Australians of all ages online, because that's really, that's where we're all heading. Even Kmart catalogues aren't put into letterboxes anymore. You have to register to get an email to keep up the latest with what Kmart have to offer. So I'm just going to have to stop sharing this and play for you or someone a little video.
Hello, my name is Ian Cuthbertson from IT for Retirees. In this short instructional video today, we're going to look at the Australian government's multi-million-dollar initiative, Be Connected, which has the sole purpose and aim of getting all Australians of every age online. Let's go and have a look at their website. The first thing you have to do is open a web browser. I use Google Chrome. In either of the search panes, type the words Be Connected, then click the Enter on your keyboard, and it will come up as a result in your search engine. Click on this link and it will take you straight to the site. Before you go exploring too far, it's a good idea to sign up. If you do this, it'll make the experience better. So fill in your details. You'll notice that your name is highlighted and that it says your Be Connected account has been created and you're ready to get started. So let's click on View the Topic Library. You're now free to go and explore the site, but if you tell them a little bit about yourself, they'll create a learning plan just for you. So let's try that. This narrows the focus to help you get the very best out of the site from the very first time you use it. So let's try I would like to refresh my computer skills, learning how to use my device and a desktop computer. Start now. And there you are, using a computer. All about the details of using a computer and laptop parts. Let's try that. And off we go. Start activity. And here we're going to show you the different types of computer, and then you can have a look at the parts of a computer. If this is too simple for you, you can go up to close activity and explore topics again. You won't need to start your learning plan this time. Scroll down, see what you can find. Let's have a look at getting started online. Online banking, there's a great idea. Let's have a look at that. So you can start the activity just as before. Continue when you've read the blurb. And continue, or as before, go up to close activity. You can go back to home now. Let's have a look at some of the other main tabs in the site. Let's try quick reads. Start reading. And here you are, what you need to know about online shopping. So there's quite a lot of information. It's a 5-minute read. Read on down. Doesn't matter if you've jumped around a little bit. You can always go back to My Courses and there you'll see what you're halfway through before you abandon them. Now let's have a look at free presentations. How about Can You Spot a Scam? Click on the link to find out how to book and to attend. But you can also click on the language of your choice and download a PDF summary of such an event. Now you can see at the bottom on a Windows machine that it's downloaded, and then I'm going to click on it and open it. There it goes. It's quite a lengthy document. You can scroll down at will, or you can print it and take it with you wherever you go. Finally, if you think you're up to it, you can help your loved ones learn new digital skills with the Help Others tab. There's a lot of information there about what you need to be a Be Connected digital mentor. Thanks so much for your attention today.
Right, so I hope that was helpful. I've just got to share my screen again. Oh no, sorry. Before I do that, I did see something in the chat screen. Patricia asked, what is WhatsApp? WhatsApp is just a tool for making video calls, just like all the others we explained, like Facetime, Messenger, Skype, and WhatsApp is just something you can download, which allows you to connect with family and friends in this way by seeing each other. So I hope that answered your question. And just to finish up, so I'd just like to thank you for your time today. And again, if you'd like a copy of the they're going to be emailed to you by Natalie. A copy of the presentation slides and a recording will be made available to you. And there's also some contact details there for the Director of IT for Retirees, which is Chris, and that's her phone number. But I'd really like to thank you for attending this presentation. I really appreciate that you took the time out to listen to me, and I hope it was of value for you. So yeah, thank you and have a great day. Okay, see you later. Bye.